Actor, theater creator, and visual artist Bruce Horak joins us now. His production Assassinating Thomson runs for one day only at the University of Lethbridge on October 22nd. Bruce, tell us a little bit about the story of Assassinating Thomson.
Well, during the show, I paint a portrait of the entire audience, and while I'm painting the portrait, I tell the story of Tom Thomson, who was a Canadian painter who died mysteriously in 1917, and I attempt to solve the murder.
What intrigued you about his story?
Well, I guess the number of theories that were coming out about who might have done it and how it might have happened and things like that. And also, he was a landscape painter who started painting when he was 34, which was how old I was when I started painting. We shared the same birthday, August 5th, but we live in the same neighborhood in Toronto. He died when he was 39, and I am now 39.
That's very interesting, considering that you lace your own life a little bit, parts of your own life in the story. Tell us about that. Some of the things that you went through as a child.
Sure. Well, I'm visually impaired, so I had cancer as a child, so I lost most of my eyesight to cancer, my right eye completely, and 91% of the vision in my left eye, so I'm legally blind. And but I've always loved art, and in the show I talk about kind of the journey of a visually impaired person to becoming a visual artist, which has been, it took me 34 years to come around to painting, essentially, but it's been just a wild ride. So tell a little bit about that in the show. I
think maybe artists starting out that are visually impaired might look to you as a role model. And you mentioned off camera talking that a lot of times people don't even know that you have any visual impairment. Yeah. What would maybe your advice be to them?
Well, I guess for me, the big thing was just accepting the vision that I have and not worrying about trying to see the world as other people do, but explore how it is that I see. So my journey has been one of essentially just learning to look through my own eye.
Speaking of the painting that you create in the show, what was the process of that? That's not something you typically see in a theater production, I don't think.
Well, yeah, it developed out of, because people were asking how it is that I see, so I would sit down and paint their portrait to kind of attempt anyway to show them how I see. And in the course of a portrait session, these stories would come out, and I would talk a little bit about my influences, and Thomson was certainly an influence of mine. And essentially that portrait session evolved into the show that is happening next week.
I think this is a must-see show. Gotta check it out. Thanks so much, Bruce, for talking with us today. We really appreciate it. That is Assassinating Thomson at the University of Lethbridge. One day only, October 22nd, David Spinks Theater at 7 o'clock.